Hello and welcome back to KXAM Plus. Thanks for joining us here. We have our Nick's First Warning weather stream with our chief meteorologist, Nick Bannon. Nick, thanks for joining me. How you doing?
Hey, Esme, what's up?
It's dark fast. That's what's up.
Yeah, I mean, we of course are now in standard time, and it means more light in the morning when I'm driving the kids to school. It's not like complete darkness anymore, which is nice. But it means it gets so dark early in the evening, and we're not even at the darkest time of the year yet.
I know. I get out of work and it's like bedtime already. I have to go straight to bed and then wake up in the morning and do it all over again.
Now, you were saying just before we started here something about the darkness affecting your pigs.
Yeah,
What is that about?
I have a pig infestation situation in the around fall, winter time in my front yard. And it happens every time that it gets darker faster. So it's coming up.
Okay, so the earlier evenings bring the pigs out where you live.
The wild hogs in my yard ruining my grass.
Interesting. Now, I know we're streaming this on Facebook. Maybe we can keep an eye on Facebook comments for those people who are ready with a remedy for your pig problems due to the earlier sunsets.
Yeah. Or
Then
if you have your own situations that happen during earlier sunsets, please let us know what those are.
That too, as long as they're pig related. We're trying to stay on topic here. Well, I'm sorry about that, Esme. A very unique problem to have, but maybe it's not as unique as we think. Maybe there's other people that have a pig issue during the earlier sunsets.
My neighbors, for sure.
Your neighbors do. Okay, well, you guys have that in common, and you can bond with your next door neighbors. I love that. Our focus today, though, is on the earlier sunsets because we're not yet at the earliest sunset of the year. So
really, we're not?
No, you think it's dark now.
Wait.
You think those pigs are coming out earlier now. Just wait. Our sunset tonight is at 5:40 here in the evening.
That is early.
Yeah, I mean, it feels early, right? Mm-hmm. So, you get out of work and then you got a very small amount of time before the sun is down. And then you get a little bit of twilight as well, which is the light that you can still see after the sun has set. So it's not really dark until about 6.
Yeah.
But still, 5:40 sunset. But
Nick, when are the earliest sunsets of our year?
I'm so glad you asked. Because I was thinking about explaining that. And it is very soon. Call it later this month, November 25th through the 9th. So the sunset tonight, 5:40, okay?
We're not very far from that, 5:30.
10 minutes. We will lose another 10 minutes of evening light between now and the end of this month. Because between November 25th and December 9th, the earliest sunsets of the whole year, they're at 5:30 in the evening. That is as early as it gets. It's a very even number to remember. We love that.
Yeah.
But 5:30 for about a week, 2 weeks there or so.
Well, at least I get to see the sunset on my drive home.
You know, I knew it would be convenient for you. The world has a way of balancing out. So on the negative, you got your pig issue. Positive, you got the sunset on your way home.
Yeah, some golden hour views on the way home.
We love that. Now, interestingly enough, the latest sunrises of the year do not happen at the same time as the earliest sunsets. The latest sunrise of standard time is at 7:28 in the morning, and that happens in January. So you get our earliest sunsets November into early December. And then you get the latest sunrises of standard time, January, so early to mid-January. And so it's just not a perfect symmetry as far as how we're losing the light. It's not perfectly shifted to losing the daylight in the afternoon and the daylight in the morning at the exact same time. So we end up losing the daylight in the evening a little bit earlier, and then we bottom out at that 5:30 sunset. And then even as our evening sunsets are starting to get very slowly later, our sunrises in the morning are still getting later, actually getting later at a faster rate than our sunsets are getting later.
That is weird.
So that means that we're still continuing to lose daylight even if we're beginning to see our sunsets get a little later because our sunrises are continuing to get later more quickly. And this all sort of balances out to mean that the shortest day of the year is December 21st, which is the beginning of winter. It's the winter solstice. But it doesn't mean that the winter solstice is the day with the both latest sunrises and the earliest sunsets. Those are somewhat offset by a few weeks on either side of the solstice. So it's sort of interesting there because we get our earliest sunsets out of the way before winter begins. But then we get into winter before we can get our later sunrises of winter out of the way. And then that's 7:28 in the morning.
That is a pretty late sunrise for me, but adjusting to this new time frame has been a little tough on my end. And you were sharing before we started the stream some of the things that you've done to help your body adjust to it or stay with your original schedule. What are those tips?
So a little fun trick that I would do, and maybe it's too late for some people now that we are several days into this time change. Mm-hmm. So, you know how we gained an hour of extra sleep in the morning?
Yeah.
I would still try to go to sleep early on that, say, Sunday night or Monday night, and then really feel the benefits of that extra hour the next day. So I wouldn't make up for the fact that the time had changed at night too. I would pretend it was the old time, and then I would enjoy the benefits of that extra hour of sleep in the morning. So kind of fool my body a little bit. By now, though, most bodies take about a day or two to make the adjustment to the time change. So you're probably feeling like you were a few weeks ago. And but, you know, that's just something that I do. Certainly this past Sunday, I went to bed at like 8:30 in the evening. And then I got up with the kids at 6:30 in the morning. But still felt great because I got that extra hour of sleep and my body wasn't quite used to it was used to going to bed early because it thought it was a different time. But it wasn't used to getting up later, so I get to sleep in a bit more. So.
And do you still do that, or you're done with?
Well, no, but then I get back to work, and I still have to work till 10:30, get home at 11:15, and then get to bed by midnight. So I can't fix it on the other end because work gets in the way, but that's okay.
It's best to try fixing it before or right when the time changes.
Or take that first week of standard time as vacation, and then you just get
your body adjusts itself.
Exactly. I do want to quickly mention, though, we talked about the latest sunrises there of 7:28. These aren't actually the latest sunrises of the whole year.
Yeah.
They're just the latest sunrises of standard time, because the latest sunrises of the whole year have actually just happened. This was in the lead up. Yeah, October into the first day of November. These were the final few mornings of daylight saving time before we did our clock switch, before we fell back and got an extra hour of sleep and more daylight in the morning. These were the darkest mornings of the whole year. So those are now behind us. That included Halloween morning and then that morning of the Saturday, November 1st, before we put our clocks back on the Sunday, and then we got another hour or so of light in the morning. So
we've already seen those late sunrises.
Exactly. Yeah. And of course, the time change is a man-made thing. We're doing it for our own reasons and not, this is not part of what the earth is doing to us. So
that is a big question amongst a lot of viewers. Why do we have to change our time? There's a lot of other places that don't do it or don't follow it. Why do we have to follow it?
Well, some of it's tradition based on reasoning that no longer applies as much. Some of it was farming. Some of it was saving light, electricity perhaps. And I know there's a big push now on not doing the time change anymore. But no one can seem to agree on which time we settle. Do we stay at standard time the whole year? Or do we stay at daylight saving time the whole year long? And
what do you prefer?
They both have their consequences. If we stayed on daylight saving time too long, our mornings would get very, very dark.
Yeah.
Very dark in the winter. I mean, I'm talking, so let's do the math here. If our latest sunrise is 7:28 during the winter, then it would actually be 8:28 would be our sunrise in the winter if we stayed on daylight saving time the whole time. If we stayed on standard time the whole time, then it would mean that our earliest sunset would be 6:30 and not 5:30. So you get more light in the evening more regularly. Our producer of the show and our digital guru extraordinaire suggested a pretty cool idea.
Yeah.
Splitting it by 30 minutes.
I mean, why not?
Here's the problem with that, is that you would have to get every country in the whole world just about to get on board with that. Otherwise, the time change between us and England wouldn't be 5 hours. It would be 5.5 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then it would get more confusing there because you would have not the exact
Time.
even hours difference between some places. So that would have to get a whole lot more people involved if we were actually going to make that change.
And I'm sure it would be a big debate.
Okay, she's here with another idea. Split it 30 minutes in America. Only. Well, yeah.
Only America, I guess.
Do it.
We could do it like that.
This all is associated with us, of course, losing daylight at both ends, morning and evening, at least until we get toward early December. Then we start gaining some light in the evening. You can see what we were doing in October. We lost about 50 minutes of daylight. And then we got into November. We were losing about 35 minutes of daylight in the month. And now we're in November. And then in December, we'll only be losing less than 10 minutes of daylight. So we're slowing down the rate of daylight that we are losing. And then once we get past the winter solstice, then we'll start gaining more daylight. So how does that look on our fun chart here of the hours of daylight through the year? Well, our longest day there in late June, the beginning of summer, the summer solstice, we get 14 hours, 6 minutes of daylight.
Lots of daylight on that day.
Yeah, but look where we are now. 10 hours, 51 minutes.
Wow.
So we have lost, I'm going to have to do math, 15 minutes plus, I think we've lost 3 hours, 15 minutes. Is that right?
Somebody
2
check
hours.
our math on the live stream.
3 hours, 15 minutes of daylight so far. I think that's it.
Yeah.
3 hours, 15 minutes. So we've lost that amount of daylight since the longest day of the year.
And we're going to keep losing.
And we're going to keep losing a little bit more. 40 more minutes of daylight will be lost between now and December 21st.
And Nick, when we are talking about losing daylight, we're talking about having darker nights when you get out of work. And that means more people are going to be on the road at night. What are some recommendations that you have for everyone to be safe and accommodate to this time change?
Yeah, well, hopefully people have been doing these this week already, of course, as our evenings have been darker, much darker than they were a couple weeks ago. But because our evenings will keep getting darker for the next couple of weeks until we get to November 25th when they reach that 5:30 p.m. sunset. And then they stay dark at 5:30 for a couple of weeks, and then they slowly start to get lighter again. It means that we're still going to have some pretty dark evenings until we basically end standard time again and get back into daylight saving time in March. So some good ideas for both drivers and people out on the road, like pedestrians or bicyclists. Headlights on, of course. A lot of cars, those lights go on automatically. But just make sure that yours do, and that you haven't turned off the automatic lights on your car.
Also make sure it's not the high beams, because that can also blind people.
Yeah, it can blind people, can blind other drivers, so it makes it actually harder for other people to see and not easier at night. Good point there. Watch for children, of course. There could be kids making their way home from after-school activities and after-school sports, and they're walking, they're riding their bike, what have you, during a time that you might not think that they'd be out because it's dark already. But a lot of sports have fields that have lights now that they can still practice and things going into the evening. So they may be making their way home from that and walking out and about. And children may not have the preparedness to have put on reflective gear or walk around with lights. So they may be wearing darker clothes, perhaps, depending on what it was they were doing, or just weren't thinking and wore a dark outfit.
They don't know.
And they're harder to see. Exactly. And that brings us to our next one is if you are going to be out and about, walking the dog, whatever, in the evening, or you've got kids that are going to be out, make sure they're wearing lighter colored clothes that reflect more light. You can even get reflective outfits that have built-in reflectors on them if you're going to
Or
be.
sometimes shoes have those little reflective
Yeah, you're
strips
right.
on them.
On the bottoms there. Yeah. So those are, you want to both be the driver looking out for walkers, pedestrians, and bicyclists, but the onus is also on yourself if you're out and about during a dark time to try to make yourself visible.
Yes.
It's, both got to work together to reduce the risk of any harm to anybody. So making sure you're visible using some of those tricks is a good key here. But things will get darker, but then they will start getting lighter again in the evenings as we get into the second week of December. But our morning's going to keep getting darker until, say, mid-January.
So I guess we are in fall weather season.
Yeah, sure are. And we're quickly approaching the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year. So it's only going to get darker on both ends until then. And then starting the second day of winter, we're starting to see our days get longer again.
And when is the second day of winter?
So first day of winter, December 21st, shortest day of the year. That means the second day of winter, December 22nd, starts to get a little longer, which means that by Christmas Day, you've already gained a few seconds of daylight compared to the shortest, darkest day of the year.
But winter actually starts like in January here for us.
Well, weather-wise, yes. I mean, we can get wintry weather in December too, but January, February, January through the first half of February, typically when we get our wintry weather events. And then late February, temperatures start to jump up real quick. And then we start to pull our way out of winter and we get our freezes out of the way and that sort of thing. So
I guess technically, yes, winter starts in December.
Okay, technically, yes. But now we've got plenty of time before we can talk about wintry weather, given how dry things have been lately. Of course, we got the story on a blog on KXAN.com. If you want to look for it, just go to KXAN.com, click on the weather and traffic section, and then under weather blog. And then you can scroll down and see our blog about the darkest nights not being here just yet. I know it sounds little...
Wait, is that a Friendsgiving challenge? I saw a meme of you earlier today.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, great point. Friendsgiving challenge is still underway, and we are looking for your help and your money to raise money for the Central Texas Food Bank during a particularly difficult time of the year for them, especially politically and government-wise and funding-wise and all that stuff here. So they really need our help, and we'd love if you could donate your funds to the evening team. It all ends up at the Central Texas Food Bank anyway, but I tell you this, my evening team, we are struggling compared to the morning so far. Kristen is leading the way and leading...
Kristen's promotions on this are just
I know.
Amazing. All the memes of you, I love them.
I know. Well, thank you. I've got to think of a different strategy to start attacking the mornings a little better. But KXAN.com/Friendsgiving is how you can donate. We are several thousand behind the morning team. So we need some, any donation counts, of course.
Yes.
We'll take fives. Counts. Hey, they all add up, right?
But just know there's fighting behind the scenes here at the KXAN
Friendly fighting,
studio.
Yes. We all love each other,
Friendly
of course.
Friendly fighting, but still a challenge.
Yeah, it's for a great cause, though. Central Texas Food Bank, the goal is to raise $150,000 by the day before Thanksgiving. That's November 26th. So we've still...
Coming up pretty soon. So.
Yeah, it's coming up in a hurry. And we still need much more in the way of donations if we're going to reach our goal this year. So every little bit counts. We really appreciate your help. And thank you all so much.
Yeah, thank you, Nick, for joining us. And we will see you next week with another Nick's First Warning Weather.
See you then.